Start recording. Okay, so today we are going to cover building out a automated ad system. But more importantly, what we're going to do is we're going to learn together how to think through building out a closed loop system. Okay, so Sophia had a question. So she has a company that runs a lot of ads, and she wants to be able to, one, generate her own ads, two, have the AI actually place them into Facebook, and then three, actually make it so that the AI can monitor the ads output, and she has the ability to basically integrate that knowing, integrate those analytics in order to create better ads. So that's kind of the loop that we are trying to recreate using AI. Obviously, ads agencies are very expensive. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to open up my iPad, and I'm going to begin walking through the process of not only designing a system, right? That's what we're creating here. It's a closed loop system, but also begin the process of taking that system design and turning it into a prompt for the AI. Sound good? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and what we're going to do is dive in. There we go. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to put you up here. Okay. Can you guys see my iPad screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first part in any systems design is that we have to go in and we have to create a rough sketch of what it is we're going to build. Now, you can totally go and just dive straight into the AI and start doing it. But normally when I build these things out, what I like to do is draw out the process as it already exists today. Okay? So I'm just going to use myself as the example just to keep things flowing. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to do Facebook ads. Okay? So the process today is, one, we have to create content. Okay? So when it comes to running the ads, we have to have some sort of content element that we are going to put in the ads. And the different content types are going to be images, right? So these are static images that we place. And there's also going to be an element of videos. So when you run Facebook ads, you have the image that goes with it, you have the videos that we can also upload, and the third element is going to be copy, right? So this is already one system, okay? So we have to create a system which generates the images, generates the videos, and creates the copy. So the next system that we have to create is, let's pretend we wave a magic wand. The next thing we're going to have to do, and we already have all the content made, which for some of us we do have created. Next part is going to be actually placing the ad, right? So we're going to have to open up the AI, the Facebook interface, and we're going to have to put that ad into what's known as a campaign. Right now, obviously, I know this terminology because I'm familiar with creating and running Facebook ads. But even if you did not know exactly what this thing looks like or the system you design, you're not sure what the elements is, all you have to do is go in and ask Claude, right? Just you can have the conversation with it, but I'm drawing it out because I'm actually familiar with these systems. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my little thing. So what we have to do is we have to place the ad, which means choosing a target. So we have to choose our target, what we call an ICP, our ideal customer profile, right? We have to put in information about that ICP. So we need to basically say, what is the age, the location, the sex, what are their interests, right? So this is going to become almost like an ICP engine, right, to actually identify those people. And then we're also going to have to allocate spend, right? Now, typically, as you're starting and creating your first ads, normally it's like what we call paid to play. So you should expect to be losing money on your first ads, but we need to have a way that the spend can either go up or the spend can either go down, right? And we need to actually launch the campaign, okay? So this is sort of the placing part of our system, right? We have the content that's made, then we need to actually take it and upload it into our system. So this is, I'll call this like kind of system 1, placing ads will be system 2, and then once the ad is placed, the campaign is running, then what we need to do is we have to create a third system that's kind of like, we'll call it a campaign optimizer, right? So it has to monitor the campaign, right? It's going to turn off and on the campaign, right? And then it's going to give feedback to inform more ads, okay? So this is kind of the 3-stage process. 1, we create the content. 2, we place the ads according to Facebook best practices. And then 3, we monitor the campaign and then based on this data, bring it back and then improve our content that's being created. Take the data, bring it back, improve the placing of the ads, and then do it all over again. Does everyone follow me so far?
Sure. I can't see what was the last bits on the campaign optimizer. Monitor campaign,
Yeah.
turn off, add on.
Yeah, give feedback to inform more ads. So how is this ad performing? Is the spend right? Should we increase spend? Should we not? And you can almost think of this part as kind of like a database. It's like a performance database, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So Sophia, based on what's in front of me, is there anything that I'm missing?
Maybe like a copy machine.
Right.
I guess that comes in the campaign optimizer.
Right. So this would be the create content engine over here. But just so you know, each one of these parts. Sorry, I think there's a delay. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yes, I forgot it was there. Yeah.
Yeah, so each one of these parts can become its own subsystem, right? The create content engine, we could have one specifically for images, could have one for videos, could have one for copy. In fact, we have a copy maker that I taught you guys how to make it, right? And you can like create engines that are specifically made for each one of these things, right? For this specific exercise, we're gonna keep it more high level. What you don't want to do is overcomplicate the systems you're creating. You should just make it in one go. And just remember, it's really cheap to create and recreate systems. So this is sort of the 3 different systems that we have to create. And then we have to kind of think through, right? What are the connections and integrations we need to support this, right? So this is like our data portion. So 1, we're gonna have a performance database, right? Where we can actually see the placement of our ads, right? We're going to have a Facebook ads connector, right? So we have to plug in our content into placing the ads. 3, we're going to need something to generate images and videos. So I'm going to use Higgs field in order to do this, right? And then 4, we also might want to ask ourselves, do we want to have an interface, right? Is there going to be an interface where we can see the images, where we can see the videos, where we can monitor ads? This part's more, it's kind of optional, but I'll just put number 4. We'll call it like our ads interface, okay? And now for some of us, we might have additional systems that are necessary, right? Maybe it's like past copy, maybe it's past performing ads, maybe it's something different, but this is sort of the bare bones, right? So I have my Facebook ads machine and I'm doing all this. And this is a really simple systems design, right? So I'm thinking through all the pieces that I need and all the connections that I need to connect. And again, I'm a CTO. I've built things like this before, so this part's easy for me. But if you did not know what the pieces are for what you want to make, just have a conversation in Claude Chat. Have a conversation, have it design it with you, and it'll help create it. I'll pause there for any questions before I continue. Go ahead, Sophia.
I wonder because looking at like what competitor, like doing, like basically copying what's working for competitors, for
Smart.
example, is that something that's in here?
Yeah, so that's a great idea. I would say that would kind of be another system. So it would be sort of a, we'll call this like competitor analysis, right? So
Yeah, because you can check, right? And no, sorry, you can check meta, like what are the successful ads in your category and stuff like that and get inspired.
yeah,
Correct?
yeah, it's almost like a pre-creation for the create content, right? So this is gonna like get winning ads from competitors. That's smart, right? You're even thinking through the planning stage. I like that. Is there any other pieces that I might be missing? Okay, cool. So now we have our very simple outline of the system, right? So the system should take in competitor ads, create the content, place the ads, and then monitor their campaigns, and then learn from it, and then do it again. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so how do we actually get this thing into a functional system? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open up Claude Code. Okay, so I'm opening my terminal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a new project. Right, so I'll just do, I'll just create one real quick. And by the way, you can do this using Claude. It's fine. In fact, why don't we just do this the Claude way? So you guys can see it from top to bottom. So I'm gonna go into projects. I'm gonna start Claude, right? I'm gonna say /model. I'm gonna go into using Fable 5, right? Because right now I still have Fable 5. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do /voice, turn it on, oops. And then I'm going to take a screenshot of the thing I just outlined, right? So I'm gonna take the screenshot, I'm gonna put it in, and then I'm just going to now verbally put in the project that I wanna create. So I'm gonna say, create a new folder that is called Facebook ads. And I want to have an engine that plugs into the Facebook ads connector, uses Higgsfield to generate ads, has an interface that I can visually see the ads that it's going to be creating, be able to generate images, videos, and copy in the correct format for the ads that I'm creating, and on click of a button, actually place those ads into Facebook so that they can become campaigns and optimize them for my target ideal customer profile, and also help me define the spend and launch the campaign. And then once the campaign is created, I want to have an engine that monitors the campaign, turns on and off the ads, looks at feedback to perform changes for the campaigns, and monitor the performance inside of a local performance database so that I can make better ads in the future. And then I'm going to say, plan this out. Okay? So I'm going to click enter. And I'm also going to just take this prompt, copy it, and I'm going to put it into the Discord chat. So even if you don't want to write it out, okay, I'm going to just put it in there, and I'm also going to put it into the campus chat. Prompt for your Facebook ads engine. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let the system run. So normally, what I like to do is as the system is running, as it's thinking through the problem, what I'll do is I will actually begin to think about what are the pieces of the puzzle that I am potentially missing. So normally I'll go into Claude chat, right? Come over here. I'll again just change it to Fable, right? And I'll just say, what other parts am I missing from this engine I am making with Claude code? Put it in, and then continually get suggestions and feedback as to what is the next step in what I'm trying to create. So just to kind of echo this back, as the AI is actually thinking through this problem, and you can actually see it's already found my LinkedIn post automator. It's like, whoa, I actually have something that's structurally similar, right? Why don't I look at this other project, right? Why don't I actually think through how to use and leverage that other product in order to create this, right? I'll actually go into Claude Chat and just start thinking through what are the other things that I ultimately want to create, right? And it's giving me some suggestions over here. But inside of Claude Code, it's now asking me, let me make it bigger, what are you going to promote? Is it Light School? Is it my agency at Modern Mantra? Is it multiple things? I'm going to do Light School, right? How much money do I want to spend a day? I'm just going to put in here, I'll do $25 a day. Is it a dashboard that's local? Yes, I'll do that. Submit the answers, and the AI is going to continually upgrade it. And again, while the AI is working, I'll go over here into Claude, and then I'll start reading some of the suggestions, right? So it's saying that maybe we should do some validation, right? For not having the right aspect ratios. I think that's smart, right? Also, there's some hierarchy things I haven't thought of, right? And you can see it's kind of giving me feedback about what it is about, like, the things that I ultimately want to create, right? And also logging is a good idea. So what I'll do normally is I'll go and grab this, right? And I'll take the things that I like and I'll just throw them into Claude Code, right? So it's writing its first plan, but then once the plan has been created, I'll actually go in there and begin updating it with the pieces that I think it might be missing. Is this making sense so far? Are you guys writing this prompt for all those who want to make your own Facebook ads machine?
Yes.
Cool. And then normally what I'll do is I will meditate and feel into the other things I need. Okay? So you can see here, now my folder has been created. It knows what business I'm doing. Sorry, go ahead.
Should we do it in time as you now, or are we watching you and then we're doing it?
Well, I'm not going to wait for all of your computers to run.
No.
So I'm just going to.
I just wonder what.
I'm going to continue, but you can do it right now. You can do it while I'm doing it, but I'm not gonna wait for your computers to run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here it's showing me the file breakdown. I have my Claude, my strategy. It created a file for my ICP. It has my different business offers. It actually pulled in a bunch of stuff from my other project, which I really like. It has a database for my competitor ads, my drafts, my learnings, right? And then it kind of breaks down what it is I want to create, right? So normally I'll either go in and like give it a bunch of feedback. Remember, the more time you spend planning, the better, right? But what I'm going to do is, for the sake of this, I'm just going to say yes, and let's do it, babe. And so now the AI switches from plan mode into creation mode, and it's going to actually begin creating me the project. Now, this is normally where it's going to take a lot more time, right? So it's going to now create the folder. It's going to start generating the code, right? And now would be a good time for me to, again, go back into the Claude chat and begin thinking through what are the ins and outs of the things that I want to create, right? So normally what happens is, while the AI is actually building the thing out, we are going up a couple of levels and just thinking through strategy. And strategy is just, what do we not want to do, right? What are we going to say no to? You know, what are the different pieces that I'm missing? Maybe I'll go in and I'll start researching some competitor tools, right? Also, just so you guys know, for Facebook, right, you have to make sure you're logged in through Facebook Business Manager, and usually this process of logging in is a huge pain in the ass. So I'm just going to go in, make sure I'm logged in, which I am, which is great. I'll make sure I'm on the correct profile, and I'll just kind of begin the process of just making sure everything is set up properly, which is what you should be doing as the AI is building. Okay, so we're gonna go in, right? I'm using a fresh account for today, and we're just gonna start creating it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let everyone run their prompts, and I'll pause there for questions, either about the ads manager itself or kind of my process for going through this.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hello. What's the minimum cap you recommend of spending to get proper performance database?
Great question. So
see, here it said 25, but if, for instance, I've run ads for clients in the past, and it's always a question of, first they have to pay me and they have to pay Meta. So then it's a question of budget.
Good
so
question.
Is there like a minimum under which like this doesn't even make sense?
Good question. So when you first start running ads, you should assume that the ads you create are going to be what we call paid to play. Meaning you should expect to spend 6 months paying to learn. Normally people suck at running ads in the beginning. In fact, just so you guys know, this is normally the expectation that ads companies also set. They normally recommend giving them 6 months to kind of get profitable ads. And so you normally want to spend time with lower budgets in the beginning learning what ads is my audience responsive to, and what is the ideal type of content, what's the ideal call to action, the landing page. There's a lot of elements to it. And so what I normally recommend in the beginning is to have a budget of $5 a day. It's about $150 a month in order to begin learning and testing. I would say that's my recommended budget to begin. And then if you have an ad that's winning, that's when you increase the budget. And that's where the campaign analyzer will come in. So the campaign analyzer says, hey, this ad is actually really profitable. We should increase spend. Listen to it, and then make the changes that are necessary when they happen. But in the beginning, I recommend starting with $5 a day. Just have the ads always running, optimizing themselves, and you don't need to have big budgets. Also on Facebook budgets. A lot of people don't know this. Even if you wanted to today spend 10 grand a day on Facebook, Facebook will not allow you to do that. You have to build trust within Facebook that your ads are actually being seen by people, are resonating with audience, and you do not have the ability to spend as much money as you want on Facebook ads. It's a weird quirk in the system. Normally what happens is you start with like $5 a day, and then Facebook's like, cool, your ads are legit. Now you're allowed to spend 50 a day. Cool, those are legit. Now you can spend 500 a day. So you actually have to earn the right to increase spend. You can't just go set up a new account and spend $500,000 a month. That's not how it works. And it's kind of by design, because Facebook puts in a lot of effort to make sure your products aren't scams, people actually like seeing the content, and that's ultimately working for you. So start with $5 a day, right? Go into this with the expectation for 6 months, you're not gonna crush it. Now, some of us have good offers, some of us are good at content, so you might already do that, right? But go into it expecting to spend some money to learn the systems before it really becomes profitable for you. I'll pause there again for questions while the AI is building. Go ahead, Sophia.
I kind of like black out when I'm going to use code. Should I use code in the desktop app?
You can do that, yeah. So
And then
just,
just copy paste what you wrote in the chat in there, or what do I do first on the text?
So take the prompt I just gave and put it into Claude Code on the desktop app. Exactly.
But do I need to write something first, like Claude or whatever?
No. So let me just open it up. I'll show you how to do it. So inside of Claude Code in the desktop app, so you go over here, you open up code. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to select open a folder. You're going to call it new folder. I'll call it Facebook ads. Right? And then you just dropped in the prompt that I just gave. Right? And then it will work exactly the same as it did before. Yeah.
And you drop that prompt into
You just copy it from the chat and you paste it in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then you want to make sure it's set to Fable 5. Right? Make sure it's set to Fable 5, because today's the last day. So use it until tomorrow, and I'll figure out how to like get you guys continued access to it. Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah, and then the AI is going to do the hard part. This is normally when I get up, I'll go get a copy, I'll go get a coffee, I'll go, maybe I'll do some competitor research on things, and maybe I need to go get my brand kit and plug it in. There's a lot of different things I can do during this time, and I'll just start collecting the necessary pieces to make the whole system work together, right? So maybe there's a brand kit, Sophia, or specifically for you, maybe there's past pieces of content that you have that already performed well. Maybe there's like specific statics or videos that outperformed the other pieces of content that we've created. Normally, if you have a piece of organic content that performs very well, that's also going to translate into ads content performing very well, right?
Can you ask the thing to go into your history in the Facebook Business Manager and find that out on its own? Or do I need to like drag and drop things that have worked?
Good question. So here's how I would approach doing that, right? As you're thinking about remember our competitor analysis engine, right? For you specifically, you might want to have a piece of your architecture that's just like, so this is like competitor analysis, but you might want to like add in one that's like a organic content analyzer, right? So if you're already running content that is resonating, right? This might be another piece of the puzzle that might be unique for your business. So maybe you have some newsletters that performed really well, or maybe you have 10 years of Instagram content that you want to analyze. Because you already have that content, that's going to be a piece of the puzzle that I would just add into that prompt and put it into the plan for what you're going to create, right? But you're thinking about this right, which is while the AI is building, start thinking through what are the other pieces that I can actually provide to the system in order to enhance the performance of the whole thing, right? So for you, it's organic content. Maybe for other people, it's newsletters. Maybe for other people, it's beginning to work on the super prompt for generating the images, right? You want to iron out what we would call a 10 out of 10 system, right? Meaning we're thinking through every part of the process and translating that into the project so that ultimately we have something that becomes a profit engine for us in our business.
Do I also need to put the picture that you drew into my code or no?
Probably not. I'll be honest with you, the AI can't read it. I just do it. Okay. So I'm going to open up my screen, right? And here is the first draft of what the AI has created. So I have my Facebook ads engine. I have my interface, right? It already drafted a first ad, right? And it also has a little bit of a vibe. And I guess it already is also visualizing the ad in the way that it's going to look, right? Pretty cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what it created, right? And then I'm just going to say to it, can you pull in my brand kit from the Light School website project so the images are on brand for me, right? That was a piece that I forgot, right? And I'll also say, and make another 2 ads that are static using my brand. And I'll just put it in. So, excuse me, guys. I'm feeling a little bit sick. So, what I'm going to do is I forgot my brand kit. And I'm going to pull it in. And you'll see that I'm looking at the pieces that it's creating. And again, I'm giving feedback on it, right? I'm like, they didn't really include my brand. It doesn't have my logo, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull that in as well. And just pull it into the project and add it in. And it should have access to that. Another thing I just realized is also be sure to use the information that you have inside of Notion under Light School to use that in order to create high quality ads, right? And again, you might not have a brand kit. You might not have Notion, which is my database, full of all of these different pieces of content. But because I do, I'm going to make sure the project is aware of it and just expose it to the project so the AI can begin working with it. So, Nicholas, for your photo company, right? You probably already have a whole bunch of beautiful photos that you can pull in. Sophia, you probably have fonts, right? You probably have colors. Make sure the AI has it, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to work with the system to get it to the point where it has an ad that we actually like, and then we're going to test to make sure that AI can actually place it into Facebook. That's going to be the next step. Go ahead.
Do I tell it to go into Google Drive and just look at all of the content I've saved there?
Smart. So Google Drives, especially for businesses, are normally quite massive. You're going to want to be specific as to which folders it's pulling from. Another thing to keep in mind is the more what we call local data the system has, the better. Meaning, the more things that it doesn't have to go to an external system to grab, the easier the performance will be. So you might want to go grab the most relevant images or videos or whatever and just put them directly in the project. You can keep them in Google Drive, but what you don't want to do is say, go to Google Drive and find these things. It's going to go through 1,000 folders. The more specific you are with the information that's useful, the better the project's going to turn out. Yeah, it's a good question.
I got another question, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
coming back to the budget and where to allocate the ad, you said increase the speed on the ad that is working. Are you talking about the ad sets as in the creative, or maybe we change the placing, like the target, the age, location, etc., or both?
Okay, so normally there's a lot of depth to this. First thing is Facebook has a new ad system that came out a couple of months ago. It's called Andromeda. And so Andromeda is a Facebook native AI that's very good at allocating and optimizing the spend, the targeting, and a lot of other things around ads. So you can either, there's a lot of depth to this, but I'm going to give the simple version. You can either choose all the targeting for the ads and be like, I want women ages 24 to 35 in Stockholm who speak Swedish, right? And target them. Or you can also just give everything over to Andromeda and let Facebook's AI do all the optimization of the placements of the ads. And you can also do a combination of both, where you choose certain things, but then Andromeda chooses and updates other things. And so over time, the ability of Facebook to auto place and auto do a lot of stuff on ads has been increasing as they become more AI first and more AI advanced. Facebook's a very AI forward company. So I normally recommend nowadays give as much control to Andromeda as you can, right? In terms of like what it can and can't do, and let it do its thing. That's normally what I recommend nowadays. So that's going to be. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because in the past it was much more recommended to like put everything yourself, like the location, every specification about the target. So now you're saying actually Facebook, the AI, Andromeda is now proficient enough to do it all by itself, right?
Yeah, but it also heavily depends on what part of the ad is being optimized. Like for example, Sophia has a physical location in Mallorca and in Sweden and in another place I can't remember. She's going to want to be very clear, hey, I want you to target these physical areas for my physical place. That's not something we give to Andromeda, right? So there's going to be specific parts of what you're doing where you're going to manually want to properly set the target, but there's going to be a lot of other things that, like for example, finding the right ICP, that Andromeda is going to be way better at doing. And so there's going to be, depending on the shape of the business, like me, I do workshops in New York, London, Lisbon, right? I don't want ads for my workshops going to Germany, right? So I'm going to make sure that's set properly, right? But there's going to be certain other things where I'm like, I don't necessarily need to just target founders, right? I can also do workshops with knowledge workers. I can do it with certain things. So I think the more you know about your business and the more you know about your ideal customer profile, the more you'll do manually. And the less you know about it, the more you'll let Facebook kind of do its thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. Thank you.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, the meta, meaning not meta as in Meta, the company that's Facebook, but the way of doing things in ads and funnels, it changes every couple of months, sometimes every couple of weeks. So you're right, like last year, all Facebook like ads trainings I've ever done were all about how to place the ads, how to target them, blah, 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 blah. And then Andromeda came out and it just became a game of testing creative, right? Creative being the statics, the images, the copy. So nowadays the game is test the creative heavily, create as much creative as you can, right? And then let Andromeda do most of the placement. That's the new way of doing it. And that might be different 6 months from now when you're watching this video, people in the future. But today, that's the best way to do it, based on my understanding of the space. Sophia, go ahead.
Regarding, what is it called? Google Ads?
We're not going to go into Google Ads today, but I can speak to it. But it's probably going to be a different system.
Okay. Because I heard that like it's easier getting better results on Google Ads than it is on Meta. Is that true?
I don't think it's easier. I would say that Google is more straightforward, right? Because it's mostly SEO based. It's like search based. So if somebody who's based in Stockholm is like face mask appointment, right? It's a much like, okay, zooming out, Google is a very intent based engine. Meaning when you go to Google, you are literally writing out your exact intention for what you are going to do, right? Like I want like local eye mask spa, Stockholm is a very typical query, right? Versus Instagram, it's not as intentional. People are scrolling, probably enjoying content about wellness, about things like that, and then because they're in Stockholm, they get hit with an ad. They didn't go there to go book out a facial. Versus Google, literally, it knows the intention of the user, and so the reason it's quote unquote easier is because Google is much higher intent, right? It's like you're going there, and especially nowadays, because like everything's ChatGPT, right? If you're going to Google and you're putting in something, it's probably because you're being very intentional with what you're doing with your time. Versus Instagram, you're trying to create something that is interactive or exciting enough for somebody to click off and go check out your offer. And so it's not so much it's easier, but it's more intent based, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So if you have a limited budget, that's maybe where you want to start putting your money at, or no?
If you have a local business with a physical location, Google is a great place to start. You should be learning the shit out of Google Ads for sure. For sure. It's just a way better engine. And it also Google owns Google Maps, right? And that's probably 95% of people use Google Maps. You have a bunch of weirdos in Apple Maps, but I'm not going to go into that, right? And so if you have a local business like physical retail, then Google Ads are going to be where you can absolutely crush. With this, all that said, the process I just walked you through, thinking through with AI, what do I need to do in order to create that ads engine? Planning it out, creating it, providing the brand assets, the ICP, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing. You can take the same omni-use technology and apply it and build that system yourself. It's the same thing we're doing here. You got to remember, these skills are transferable. Today's workshop's not really about building a Facebook ads engine. Today's workshop is about thinking through a core part of my business that I want to dominate and building an engine specifically to do it. That's the real skill you're learning today. So this can be transferable to LinkedIn ads, to Reddit ads, to Google ads, anything above. Okay? Okay. So now I have my first version of what we've created, right? So I have 3 different ads, right? I have one that's like, this is more Facebook. Did you seriously build a booking system in your studio? Saturday, one afternoon, you can't code. Turns out it doesn't matter anymore. Light School Lisbon. I like that middle one. I think it's cute. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I actually quite like this format, right? This one's more of a message base. I don't really like that. So I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna take the second one, right? It's got my logo on it. It has this thing, right? I'm just gonna say to the system, I like the second ad. Let's go ahead and launch a campaign, $5 a day for it, right? So I'm gonna go in to the system itself. I'm gonna prompt it. I'm gonna say I like the second ad, right? And we're just gonna go ahead. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test so we built out now the create content portion. Now I'm gonna test and try the placement engine, right? And now normally when it comes to this part in the process, the AI is probably going to prompt me in order to create in order for me to give access to the system. So normally, when it comes to actually placing the ad, I'm going to have to give my AI some level of access to Facebook, but don't worry, it's going to tell me how to do that, right? It might ask me for access to a MCP server. It might ask me for an API key, but I'm going to go ahead and begin that process now. Okay. Now, obviously, I could spend the next couple of hours really nailing the ads format, right? Like use pictures of Nick, maybe use pictures from past workshops, blah, blah, blah. Actually, that's a good idea. I should use pictures from past workshops. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's totally a piece I could integrate. And you could spend as much time as you want to really nail the creative. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and launch that second ad and just make sure it has the ability to do so. Okay? And as you can see, because I already integrated this in a different project, it has access to my ads network. It knows my ad account, so it just found it. And it's going to go ahead and do that. I'll pause there again.
I have questions.
Go ahead. I see them. Okay.
Yeah, I was typing another one, but yeah, let's begin with these two.
Great. How many creatives minimum do you recommend test out under the same ad? Okay, so when it comes, so sorry guys. I was at a festival, and I think I probably shared a water bottle with like 50 people. So, how many creatives minimum do you recommend test on the same ad? The weird answer is test as much creative as humanly possible. As much creative as humanly possible. If you really want to get good at this, it's going to sound crazy, test 100 pieces of creative a week. And the goal is going to be to create an engine that can constantly pump out the creative. Because Andromeda will take those 100 pieces of creative, it'll place it, see which ones are performing well, and then allocate more spend to the ones that perform well. The more creative you test, the better you're going to get at ads. It takes a lot of creative to nail it, and what eventually will happen is you'll find what we call a winning ad, like one piece of creative that just absolutely crushes, and that will become like your baseline format, right? And like once you find that, you're going to be in a very good space. So the more the better is the answer to that question. The people that don't do this well only test like 3 creative a month. That's stupid. You should be cranking out creative, different videos, different images, different formats, different messaging, and just testing the bejesus out of it. So when choosing where to diffuse the ads, is there any we should discard? The answer is no, not in the beginning, because what you're doing is if you say, I'll do stories but not reels, and I'll do discover page but not this, you are assuming you know better than the system, and there's no way you have the data today to make any of those calls. You have to test. And by the way, Andromeda will optimize, right? So it's way too early for you to say what places perform the best. I would just leave them all toggle on, let Facebook do its thing until it discovers where your creative is the best. Number 3, do you recommend creating one ad with several creatives, or one ad equals one creative? Okay, so I think what you're asking is, should you do one ad with many formats? I would say the more creative, the better. The more formats you test, the better. The more variations of that format, the better. And figure out what works. I don't think, again, you're kind of pre-optimizing this, but the more creative you can test, the better. And the beauty of ads is you're going to have immediate feedback in the form of your return on ad spend, right? So you're going to be able to see, hey, I spent $5 and I made $10, or I spent $5 and I only made $2, right? One is a positive return on ad spend, meaning I spent $1, I made $2, and the other one is is negative. And then you figure out that creative doesn't work, and the system should realize that and then optimize for that other piece of creative. All really good questions.
Yeah, sorry, I think I should have said that you recommend create for one campaign, because one campaign of the placement, etc., you can put as much creative sets as you said. So the question was, okay, should I do one campaign and put all the assets in there, all the creatives in that campaign, or should I do one campaign with one creative in it? But I think it's like one campaign, as much creatives as possible.
So I'll be
That's
straight
like
with
tied to the
you.
first question.
I don't know the current best practices for campaigns versus ad sets. So just so you guys know how this works. In Facebook, you can organize your ads on a campaign level. That's the highest level. Then you have within the campaign different ad sets. And then with the different ad sets, you have variations. What is best practice changes all of the time. I don't know the answers to those questions. And so what I would do is I would have a conversation with the AI to figure out what is the best and most ideal setup for the type of creative we're running. I don't know about all the different ins and outs of that. But I would have a conversation about it and then do it. I know it's not good. I know that didn't necessarily answer your question, but that's the approach I would take. I just haven't learned it at that level where it can be like, this is the best way to do it. Okay. So now I'm just opening up my project, right? It says the launch is 90% complete, right? It says my account has no valid payment method, right? So Facebook refused the ad, but it has the campaign. It set up the ad set, set up the creative. I need to just update my payment method, right? And now it knows it's going to redirect it to the correct URL. So it's asking me to check the link, all really smart, right? And then it's also asking me to update my payment method. So what I'll do is just go in and be like, okay, take me to the page to do that, right? But you can see is like, I now have created an ads making system. Pretty easy. It actually set up the page, it set up the ad, it placed it successfully onto Facebook, and now all it's doing is asking me for feedback and making it so that I can update it properly so that ultimately the ad can be created. And now the game is, how do I make it so that the system automatically generates and places the ads, right? And so this, I don't know which one's talking to me about. It's opening up a tab. But all I have to do is update my payment method, and then boom, the ad will be placed. The AI can turn it on, and then it can go ahead and do its thing, which is pretty dope. I'll pause there again for questions while I update my debit card.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have several accounts, several clients. I have access to several accounts under my Meta business portfolio, right? So is there a way to make sure I'm creating an ad for, let's say, client A? I want to make sure that this ad, this campaign goes through the account of client A, not client B. Is this like a streamlined process? Is there like on Meta, I should be connected, logged into this account or that account? Or is this like, is it iffy? Should I be wary about this? And also, side question about this, each of them has their own payment method attached, right? It's not my account who's paying, it's their account who's paying. So I want to make sure that, you know, if I'm creating a campaign for client A, it goes to client A and it's client A who pays for it, not like the whole weird thing happening.
Yeah. So when it comes to what debit card am I using, this is where a manual check is going to be very important. Okay. Also, when it comes to what campaign am I ultimately running this on, right? You're going to want to make sure everything is set up properly, okay? Normally, this is the manual part, okay? You should not leave it to chance that the AI is, not setting the right thing. You're going to have to make sure everything you just mentioned is set up properly. So you're not, so the client is providing the correct debit card, and it is ultimately creating and running the ads on the right accounts. This is normally the manual part. Now, what you can do is inside of your project, if you're doing this for multiple clients, okay, what you can do is you can actually say to it, hey, I am doing ads placement for 5 different clients, right? Create me dashboards for each client. So you have different client dashboards, and it can use the same system and just duplicate itself. And you can also ask it to run what we call a test to make sure the correct ad was placed to the correct client, right? So you can just like include in the project a test and say, always send me, for example, you could say, always send me a Slack message to make sure the ads are being placed for the correct client. Or always make sure that credit card ending in 4968 always goes with client A, client B, client C. So if you want to, instead of this being, the first time you have to do it manually, make sure it's set up properly. But beyond that, you can also create a test inside of the project that tests to make sure the ads are being run to the right client account. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Multi-client setups just normally mean like just multiple interfaces. Yeah, so
So you'll be one dashboard per client, not one dashboard under my company with several categories for each client.
if it was me, I would do dashboard per client because they're going to have different. These are it's basically the same system. Let's suppose you have 3 clients. The content creation engine for client A is different than BC. The placement of the ads and the optimization is different for each one. The campaign optimization, different for each one. So if it was me, I would make them into separate interfaces because you got to think in terms of systems design, systems and flow. The systems are operating differently for each client. Therefore, I would separate them, and I would also make it so there's a check to make sure I didn't just place client A's ad to client B's credit card or client B's campaign. They should be different setups. Now, different setup, it doesn't mean different folders, but different parts of the interface and different checks and balances to make sure it's being done properly. But it's basically a unit test. Like you're testing to make sure this part of the code is running properly. And you can just say like, before running the campaign, always double check to make sure it's using the correct credit card, it's placing on the right Instagrams, whatever it might be. All right.
So right now, sorry.
Good.
Right now we use Claude to do all of this. So we did A and C, A and B, 1 and 2 basically of the processes that we did together. Now the campaign optimizer part, the last one, is done through Meta or also through Claude. Like Claude is going to gather all the data that's going to be aggregated on Meta.
Can you rephrase the question?
So we did you did the creatives, you did the placement right now.
Yep.
Right, right now. So the last part comes in building the performance database, right? That's the third system we were talking about.
Yep.
So all of this, you're going to work with Claude for this, or this is going to happen in Meta?
Yeah, good question. So with the system I just created, in order for me to analyze ads, you have to have, in system design, we call it time delay. All right, there's going to be some sort of time delay that's necessary for us to activate the final part, right? Like if I run and place an ad today, there's no data on it, right? So we might have the system running so that every day it checks the performance of the ads, right? And then gives us feedback as to like what should change, right? I can actually show you how to do that as well using Claude Code. So let's suppose I just have a local project built out, right? So this is my ads project, right? Inside of Claude Code, you have this really useful tool. It's called slash loop, right? We went through this in a previous training, right? So I can do slash loop, call it 5 hours, check the performance of the ads, generate a report, and then make new creative based on that ad's performance, or turn it off if it's not performing well, right? So basically, this ability makes it so that it's using slash loop, it's a thing that happens regularly, right? So you can set a loop that every 5 minutes it creates new ad creative. You can set a loop that it's constantly monitoring the campaigns and sending you an email with their performance, right? Using slash loop, basically as long as Claude Code is open, your computer's running, it'll continue doing that. And if you want to deploy this to a server, right, you can just ask Claude to do that. Then you can just ask it to create a loop on the project that does the same thing. So you have the ability to run a loop locally on a local project, and then you have the ability to do it more, make it so that it just runs consistently. But basically, you just have to have a monitoring system that's set up and can run it. So for if you're running a local project, I would use loop. If you're running one that's out there in the open, it's a bit more of an advanced setup, but Claude Code can help you set that up. Okay. There you go. My ad is live in the Facebook interface, so I can see it. And my ad's live. Yay! So, what's next? Give it, even the AIs recommend this. Give it 24 to 48 hours. I'll pull the first real metrics into the performance database, and then I will make sure it's running. And it even recommended back to me before I told you that, run loop SOP6, which is probably the feedback engine, and it'll just go ahead and do that, right? And I also asked it to open up my, there you go. And inside of Facebook, I have my ad, yay! See that? Easy. There you go. Pretty cool. Now, one thing with Facebook ads is they have to go through an approval process. And so sometimes when you place an ad, Facebook denies it. But for what we're doing, it should go ahead and work pretty easily. And there you go. We have a Facebook ads engine. All right. Pause there again for questions. Sophia?
I forgot what I was asking.
Cool. Yay! We just replaced the Facebook ads studio in under an hour. Would you look at that?
Crazy.
Pretty dope. AI. Okay.
Oh yeah. How do you like? Do you add this ICP manually now, or
Great
it's
question.
something?
I forgot that step. My bad. Okay. So this is important. I'm glad you mentioned that before I stopped the recording. In order to get this set up, you have to install the Facebook MCP. So this is a setup you have to go through. So this is the link to set up the Facebook MCP. Okay. And so the way,
ICP or MCP the same?
sorry, can you repeat that?
I asked what ICP is MCP the same.
Sophia, I think you're in and out. Can you repeat that?
I asked about something that was the ideal customer, but you're talking about something, right?
Habibi, can you type your message into the chat? You're going in and out. I don't understand it.
I think what Sophia is saying, she's talked about ICP, the placing ad moment, choose the
Great.
target, etc.
So before we go into that, this is also an important step. So in order for Claude to be able to place the Facebook ads, you have to set up the Facebook MCP. So what I would do is normally just grab this link and just say, I already have it set up, but what I would do is go into Claude code. I'm just going to do it in the desktop and just say, help me set up this MCP using this link. And normally what I'll do is just put it in, and then it'll give you instructions on how to set it up. The other thing is, if you want to set it up inside of the Claude app, what you can do is go into your settings, you go into your connectors, add custom connector. You say you call this Facebook ads. You guys already learned how to do this. You place in this URL, Facebook MCP/ads, and then from here, no matter whether in your Claude app or you're in Claude code, right? It's going to actually be able to access Facebook ads. So this is an important part of the setup. And if I do /MCP in Claude code, you'll notice my Facebook ads has already been connected. So all you need to do is do /MCP in Claude code, add this MCP connector, right? You pop in this link, it will set it up for you. And then you got to click enter, do the authentication. I already did it. And then Claude's connected directly into Facebook. But you have to have the Facebook MCP connector to do it in order for the system to work. That is an important step that I've covered that in a previous lesson, but I didn't cover it today. So I'm grateful you're asking. Now, let's talk about ICP, ideal customer profile, right? So, Sophia, you know this. Who is your ideal customer profile? Who buys from you the most? Who most resonates with your content?
Yummy mummies.
Yummy mummies. There you go. Describe them. Tell me about Yummy Mummy.
Well, the thing is, I haven't done as much work on this as I should. I haven't put them down in written format. I'm a little late bloomer in this field.
Okay.
But I know
Yeah, go ahead. Walk me through their day.
They wake up, they run around this park, their kids go to school. This is me guessing because I haven't really I don't have full fact check on all of it. You know what I mean? So I think that I need to be using my data and create this. It's all my to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the Yummy Mummies, right? If you are to describe them, you normally, when you think about an ICP, you think about a couple of things. How old are they? Where do they live? What are their daily activities? Right? You can even get more specific and be like, Where do they hang out? Which is like the park, right? Like, what are the specific products that they're already using? Do they like matcha? Who do they follow? Are they into astrology? Right? Like, these are all things that kind of all blend together in order to define your unique ICP, right? So each part of this information, you learn about your target audience, and then suddenly you know unique things. And the more unique, the better, right? If they're big fans of matcha, if they're big fans of like a specific part, a specific type of collagen or something, like it makes it easier for you to not only identify the ICP, but also target them. So if they're like, if they all have, I don't know, snickerdoodle dogs, right? And like you just have an abundance of like tiny dogs in your studio, that's your part of your ICP. And normally when it comes to this, there's going to be something weird about them that you can like target on Facebook, right? Maybe all of them follow Aubrey Marcus, the podcast, right? Maybe all of them like, there's certain like, this is going to be a bit of a rant. The internet, what the internet does is that self-organizes. And so you have like niche cultural communities that you can tap into. Like for me, many of you are going to be surprised by this, or maybe you won't be. I'm super into Pokemon. I played Pokemon as a kid. I collect cards. I own fucking 10,000 different Pokemon cards. And like I've been into it as a kid, and I'm a collector of it. And I'm in this like niche Pokemon community. And you might not know this, but a lot of tech nerds, a lot of us are into Pokemon. Something weird. Like, and if you're thinking about targeting like a founder, entrepreneur, AI guy, you probably wouldn't think about Pokemon. But if you go and talk to like anybody who's into business and into technology and into investments, they're going to talk about Pokemon, right? So it's like sometimes the stuff that you wouldn't think people are into, they are. And there's probably like some niche products or people that your audience follows that you can create what's known as a lookalike audience. So you can actually go and take the people who follow, I don't know, like the biggest face Mac influencer and create a lookalike audience in Stockholm. So this would include people from that community who follow them, right? And then target them specifically. Again, Andromeda's quite good at this. But Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Is that the same as like a twin profile?
A twin profile?
Yeah, is that the same as a lookalike audience?
What's a twin profile? What is that?
Yeah. I think it's when you create something that is like the same, but it's not your customer.
Yeah, so that's a lookalike. Yeah, same thing. Twins lookalike. So I just never heard the term twin profile. Maybe that's a new thing by Facebook, but same concept, where you're basically creating a profile of customer that looks like this person or for this community, right? But the real, I'm trying to I used to have good examples about this. Trying to think of like a real example of this. God, I used to have so many. Oh, they lost on me. Oh, shit. I just remembered it. I have a friend, without naming names, has a huge online education business in the spiritual niche. His performance absolutely crushes with people who own black cats. People who own black cats, holy shit, he just rakes in the money. In all of his content, and through testing, he found if he has a cat in his video and he's wearing a pink sweater, he makes about 5 times as much money. So all of his ads are him in a bright pink fluffy sweater with a cat on his shoulder. He didn't get the cat for this reason. Now he lives on a farm and just happens to own 3 cats because they ran to him. 2 of them are black, right? But for whatever reason, like through extensive testing, pink sweater, cat on shoulder, the return on ad spend is fucking 5x, right? So I bring up that example because there might be like some weird, like pay attention to what the people in your studio are wearing. Pay attention to like, ask them where they go. Where are the other places they go to? What are their hobbies? What are they into? Maybe there's an emerging trend in rock climbing. Or I'll give you another good one. There's a massive emerging trend right now in high rocks. High rocks is like a new way of working out, super health focused people. The people from that community are probably going to spend like I don't know, 100x what a normal person would spend on like personal health, right? And so you have to kind of like keep a gauge of, what is happening with your ICP. What are the new trends that they're going through? Like, what are the things that they're suddenly doing? And that can inform the ads in some really weird ways. It's not one size fits all, but you're going to find like the things that you're wearing, or, maybe you test like a man, or maybe you test an Arab man, like certain content will perform better, right? Like that really works with people. It's a weird game.
Do you make the ICP? Because I was supposed to do this last week with this girl who's a strategist, and she was going to help me. I thought we were going to sit and make this ICP thing, but then I realized that I actually needed to do tons of work on it to really get it right, and not just like freestyle. Like I needed to like get all the data, like analyze the data, like be able to have enough information so I could create these like lookalike profiles, and it's like quite a lot of work, and like you need to do like, what is it called, like kind of interviews, right? Like to make it right, where you actually ask people a lot of questions, like you do a bunch of, like, how would you do this if you don't have a budget? Because I just was instantly like, can't do it. Don't have the time, don't have the money right now.
Can I be straight with you? This sounds like somebody who doesn't know AI.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me I'm going to reiterate this point. Throw out the box. There's no more box anymore. Most of the people who have been providing services in a pre-AI world are completely full of shit. They have no idea what they're doing. They try to sell you on these massive packages of crap that doesn't matter. Just sit with the AI, upload the data you have, give it, this process, expose it to the data, which is your Shopify database, which is the credit card information, where people are from, any creative you have, if you have previous interviews, if you have whatever, and have the AI make it. Okay? You don't need to go through this crazy process because you have God in your pocket. You have a digital God literally staring in front of you who's going to do I'm not going to say it's going to do a better job than we're going to do a $10,000 thing and I'm going to get you set up and they're really good at selling it and like all this stuff and we're going to go through this process and you're going to feel so held. But like most of that shit doesn't matter anymore. And you can just sit with the AI, expose the data, have it create the ICP and just start there, get your ads live. We just did it under an hour from scratch and start testing. Get to the point where you put money to where your mouth is. And so I just set up my own campaigns. I'm doing it. Put $300 a month, start running the ads, and then go back in 48 hours, see how they're performing. And when you get like a hit, go into the ICP, update it, be like, we're targeting people with tiny dogs. I don't know why that one keeps on popping up, but for some reason it does. Maybe just do it, try it, right? But try to do it yourself. You don't need the big, super highly paid consultant anymore.
Yay.
Yeah, you just don't need it. Like literally the thing I just built can do it. Now, is it going to do it the same way as a $20,000 a month agency? Maybe not, but I promise if you sit with it long enough, you iterate it enough, you're going to get there very fast. I mean, what we just built in 45 minutes was impossible 6 months ago. So you got to take that into context whenever you're doing anything now. You can probably do it yourself. Sorry, but like a lot of agencies they're going to struggle. Anyway, I don't want to like shit on our work though. Okay, here's another thing. Some people like that process. Like I really want to sit down and get super intentional, blah, 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 blah. But you kind of don't have to anymore. Like, I mean, just open up the file. I can just show you the files. Like, you can probably do this yourself that the AI just made, right? Let's just have a look at it, right? So let's go in. I'm going to open up these files, right? So I'll go into here, and I'll just go ahead and open up. Hold on. Open the project in VS Code. So I'm just going to open it up and let's just see what it generated, right? And now the performance of the ads will be dependent on how good the ICP is, right? But here we go. So I'm just going to open up a file. I'll make it nice and big so you guys can see it. Okay. And so, hold on. How do I make this go away? Okay. All right. Ideal customer profile. Non-technical professionals who lose hours every week to manual repetitive computer work. Sound like you so far, Sophia?
Yeah.
Curious about AI, but intimidated by anything that looks like coding. Sound like you, Sophia? Yep. Examples: operations managers, marketers, small agency owners, freelancers, and famous florists. I don't know who the fuck that is, but I'll delete that. Okay. Pain. I mean, some of this is off, but like, you know, it's getting there. Age, 28 to 50. Everyone in this group fits that. Location, Lisbon, London. You guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all are based in Lisbon, London, right? English speaking, interest, small business, entrepreneurship, productivity, Notion, no code. No, maybe. I shouldn't say that, right? And so you can see it's not like the most crazy breakdown, but it's kind of nailing it. And if you want to go through this, but then take your existing database of people, have it analyze it and enrich it, and then update it. You know, but this is the output of that process that the AI just made lickety split. And now every part of the system you can improve, right? So you can improve the ICP analyzer. You can improve the campaign monitor. You can improve the content. That's probably where the majority of your time will be spent. Every part of this can be improved over time. But the most important thing is to get it live, do what I call fuck it, ship it, put some money behind it. And I promise you, the moment that there's money behind it, that's when you're actually going to care. But most freelancers, what they're going to do is they're going to sell you on some big package. Be like, it's going to be $5,000 for setup, then ongoing for like $2,000 a month to go do it. And their output is going to be, it probably will be better than what I just did, but you can just update it yourself and like continually update it. And also remember, like once the campaigns are running, we have the monitoring system. Just prompt it and say, based on what you're learning, what people are interacting with it, update the ICP, right? That system can also be updated through the AI. So once we have 2 weeks of ads, say, hey, analyze who's interacting with this and update the ICP. It can be self-updating, right? Also another principle.
Bounce back.
Yeah, one more thing. Don't let somebody tell you can't do something without, and nowadays, don't tell somebody, don't think you can't do something because someone's charging a lot of money for it. You guys are paying good money to be in this program, but I promise you, there's 100 million people learning AI just through YouTube. And I totally acknowledge that, right? Like you don't need to spend like big bucks to do something, right? And also, especially for digital services, like you can just do it yourself nowadays and actually learn the process and then have an engine, especially if it's core to the business, that you can constantly upgrade and make really work for you. And that's what we're learning how to do. It's like, how do you take these big complex things, create machines that can do it and that can be upgraded and grow with us over time? That's the skill, right? Most digital freelancers you hire, you can replace with AI more and more over every week. It's not that you should replace everything. There's gonna be certain things that like you still should hire help for, but everything has to be plugged into an AI system. So even if you were to hire this woman, she should be working directly on the system. By the way, she's not gonna do that. She'd be like, no, it's not my process. Like we do this and I do one ad a week, blah, 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 blah. I know all these people. I've interviewed and paid out millions of dollars to these people. Okay, I know exactly how they operate. This isn't the process, not how you do things. That might have been true in 2025. This is 2026. It's a different game. Just build it yourself. Okay? Yeah. Like, let's fucking go. Yeah. It's fun. I'm telling you, it's fun. Once you get into it. Also, Facebook ads. Don't forget they're running. Make sure if you have a temporary campaign to have an end date, right? So this ad I just ran, it doesn't have an end date on it, right? These are some things you also have to think about. And the AI can update all of it. By the way, also Claude's ability to make these sort of changes inside of Facebook. This came out. Let me look at the date of the article. This article's from. It doesn't have a date. I think it was just maybe a month and a half ago. I don't have the exact date, but these are all new superpowers and capabilities that came out. And so, Higgs field times your existing brand times Facebook MCP with Claude orchestrating the system in just a loop, running, analyzing, optimizing. You should have a pretty powerful engine that nobody else does yet inside of your niche. Pretty dope. And then you can apply it to Google, you can apply it to Reddit, you can apply it to whatever you want. It's the same process I just took you through. Draw it out, work with the AI to get it. Obviously, I know this, so I'm like showing you how I do it and think about it. But just work with AI, build the system, launch it, put money on it. And I promise you'll get there. Go ahead.
But on the one-to-ones we're having with you, is that a place where we can fine-tune these things,
Yeah.
like this machine tempo, and it's like we do whatever we want on that time.
Yeah, that time is for you. So I sent out everybody an email last week inviting you to book a one-on-one. Please book it. I'm only doing it on Wednesdays. And that time is for you. We can cover anything you want. Because I know I took away the second day of the week because nobody came. Like there's certain people who did. Thank you, Rita. But everybody, like right now, we had more signups in the last week for this program than ever before. And nobody's showing up live because of summer. People are with their kids. So I sent everybody a one-on-one with me just to give you guys some more touch points. That's focused on you. So before you show up, take the time to think about the biggest bottleneck in your life and your business, right? And come to the one-on-one with that information in hand. Cool. So we have 25 minutes left. Let's open the floor. And for everyone watching back, thank you so much. Happy adsing.